Hello,
Hello.
Joseph. You there?
Hey,
What's
can you hear
up?
me?
I
Hey, are
can
you
hear you. What's
debating?
going on?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
So,
We're looking for a debate, so you're debating, correct?
Yes. Well, I mean, I've known you to become like spicy Tommy, so I don't know how spicy you're wanting to get here, but
I
what do
just,
you got?
I mean, I'm more of a friendly debate because I agree with a couple of points that you said early on. However, the most recent thing that you said, I don't necessarily agree on as far as like I agree on one thing that you hit the nail on the head with was the country is so scared that it's going to be more like we're going to want to gravitate more towards like stability than actual change. I agree with that. However, with the things that we're actually like faced with right now, there is I hear you talking about being brainwashed in like certain areas. I am not one like hard headed on like for example, I had just gotten out of high school. I could not vote for Obama, but I was pushing for Obama. So I'm not saying that I'm Democrat or that I'm Republican, but I'm being a realist. And with where our country's at right now, Joe Biden is not the answer to solve the problems of what all is going on. And this is not me being brainwashed. I'm a pretty smart individual. Okay, I do my research. I do things like that. I don't have a laptop in front of me to like look up facts and like argue with you on that. You're going to beat me all day long when it comes to a debate because you have access to that. I get that. I understand that. However, I mean, there's a genuine eye test here. Okay, and anyone that has common sense on what is going on in America right now, there's no president that's going to be perfect. Like what you said earlier, you're not going to get perfect policies. You're not going to get all of this. I understand that.
Okay.
However, I mean, if you're looking at some of the unfortunately, a lot of what people are thinking about right now is things that directly impact their lives. Okay,
Okay, so
and
who's the solution then? Like, what's
you're
the
asking me
solution in your mind?
who's the
Yeah,
solution?
if not Joe Biden, who else?
Right, in this election.
I actually would have liked. I mean, he dropped out of the race, but I think that he would have. I
Just
would
say the
like to
name.
think he would have been a better candidate. Do what?
Just say the name, please.
Who's the person?
Governor of Florida, DeSantis.
Oh,
DeSantis?
God.
Why?
DeSantis? Stilts?
I mean, okay. Well, I'm not okay. Just hear me out. How did he handle the situation in Florida?
What
With
What does
what?
it mean?
Stilettos?
I mean, when the economy was going down south, how did he handle the situation?
He killed a bunch of people by opening the economy?
Okay, all right. So let me. Okay, you're talking about
Feuded with one of the
during
biggest
COVID and all that.
moneymakers?
All right, so I actually so I live in Vegas now. Okay, and this is
Okay.
like a new experience to me out here in the West Coast. But I'm born and raised Nashville, Tennessee. One thing that I have noticed here is that a lot of people are moving from California. A lot of people are because they are
Per capita,
tired
more
of-
people move from Florida to California.
Well, no. Sorry. I'm
Talk about Nashville?
I'm originally from Nashville. Yes, born and raised. I lived there for 30 years. So
I have family there.
30
I've been there.
31, 32 years, something like that. But one thing that I've noticed is there are people that were very Democrat as far as like their lifestyle, and they are trying to get away from that because it like California is one of those states that's like really going like downhill, and it's
No,
very
it's not.
quickly.
I've been there 4 times in the last
I
2
live
years.
here.
It's nice. I like it.
No, I love it. I love it as far as the weather. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's
But-
great. I mean, I've never had any issues.
How's it going downhill compared to Florida having one of the highest rates of inflation and banning books and the strict abortion laws, the strict criminal justice laws, lack thereof, I should say?
I think that there's good and bad with both parties, but I think at the end of the day that it's if you look at what our country was built on, okay, the Democratic Party is not what it used to be. The Democratic Party is
Right,
almost
we're
what the
better.
Republican Party is nowadays. Maybe not as bad, but the Democratic Party is not what it used to be.
What does that mean?
Exactly what I just said. It's not what it
That
used to
didn't
be.
tell me what is it. What did it used to be, and how is it now?
No, the Democratic Party was a lot more on the lines of actually going with the Constitution, agreeing with things. Nowadays,
They
it's
still are.
How do we disagree
not
with the
necess-
Constitution?
not
I'm going
not
to listen.
not
Here, 1
necessarily.
second.
No.
Okay, what are we doing that's antithetical to the Constitution?
So there was okay. I'm all up for everyone like do your own thing, be your own person. However, there was no laws that was being made on pushing certain things like like kids can pick what gender they want to be, or like certain influences that was happening. There was no. It's just I don't know what
And there
specific
still aren't.
reasoning that you're looking for. You're a smart person.
You're
You know the
suggesting that the
difference.
Democrats were
I
formerly.
don't have to tell you. You know the differences.
I do. You do need to tell me. I don't know what you're referring to in this instance. You're saying they used to be more pro-Constitution and now somehow they're not. But what are the policies? What are the positions, the movements that would indicate that they're anti-Constitution? Joseph,
Yes, Jade.
you there?
No, I'm here.
What's up?
I don't know any specifically to name off the top of my head, but I literally tried to point that out before I had this conversation with you. Like, you guys are going to win in a debate over me because you have the resources to look at on hand, like certain laws, certain things. I don't have that capability. But
Okay, Republicans are banning books across multiple states.
what
Republicans
books are those?
It doesn't
that they're
matter what
banning?
books they are. The fact that they're doing that is a flagrant violation of the First Amendment. Republicans are doing away with abortion rights across state houses, across state legislatures. They're doing
Do
away
you-
with voting rights. They're doing away with key provisions in the Voting Rights Act of the 1960s.
Do you believe that it's okay for abortion though?
Yes, I believe abortion is okay if one wants to have one.
So that's not murder?
No, it's not murder.
I believe in abortion in a very small percentage. I think
Okay,
if
so do
someone
I.
I think if someone was raped,
Can we
if
not use
someone
that
was
word,
held
please?
against their will, I think that that's okay.
Just stop with the language, please. There's only certain words we can use here. Yeah,
Oh,
I
sorry.
believe in abortion in low percentages as well. The problem is we're looking at the root causes of abortion, such as lack of financial help, a dismantling of welfare states, of which people can rely on when they do become pregnant. The fact that people don't have universal health care, they don't have paid family leave. So if they were to become pregnant, they might be at a risk of losing their key source of income. I think that needs to be addressed first. The fact that Republicans aren't willing to address that, if not outright defunding it, is reasons why I'm for the state of abortion as it is now. Until we can address these root
Gotcha.
causes as to why people go about with abortions, I don't think we should be changing things so drastically. And fun fact, anti-abortion laws have only increased the rates of abortion.
Because they don't have access to it.
Exactly. And we saw this in the 1970s. There was a CDC study across 4 years after Roe v. Wade passed versus before it passed. And abortion rates declined. On that steady trend, it declined annually. So even still, per capita, within
Right.
protections of abortion rights, you see less abortions taking place. When abortion rights are restricted, more people are going to seek them out in the instance that they become or come across an unwanted pregnancy, because they don't know the risk of it.
Okay.
They'll seek it out sooner now.
I have no idea. how we got to abortion.
I can agree. I can agree with that. I can agree with that. But one thing that you wanted to mention, certain things that are happening because whichever, I think the immigration is definitely it's way worse now than it's ever been since I've been alive.
Okay.
So, I mean, how do you not? I know it's not Joe Biden's fault specifically, but it is the party that's involved in all of this.
The Republican Party, yes.
How would it be the Republican Party?
Because they
How would-
have the ability right now to pass the $20 billion border bill that adds, amongst other things, some thousands or so additional border officers at the border. It's
Why-
talking about smart border security. It's talking about the fast tracking of asylum processes, so that there's not this backlog of waiting periods across several years.
Why was the Democratic Party trying to stop all of that, though, is where I'm confused.
They weren't. They voted for it in the Senate. It's at the House now.
That's what I've heard, but I haven't seen direct proof of it. And as far
Look at
as
the voting record, all the Democrats and some 29, I think, Republicans voted for it. In the Senate.
So even whenever they told Texas to stop what they were doing, that was them.
They told them to stop what they were doing because they were unaliving people in the Rio Grande.
Okay.
So if you're pro-life, you should be in favor of that.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So with the economy, though, now I will say this: I'm not telling you that I'm pro-Trump or I'm like a diehard MAGA fan. That's not what I'm saying here. But if it came down to it, where does my trust fall with like the economy, the value of a dollar, everything that's going on right now? I would trust Trump before I would trust Biden.
Really quick. The value of a dollar is more important to you than stopping a in court found to have essayed Jean Carroll person, as well as that 30 essay allegations, is quoting Funny Mustache Man. The list goes on. That's more important to you, like principle.
It's guilty until or innocent until proven guilty, but he also went.
It was in court.
Is he proven?
Yes,
it was in court. That's why he had to pay her. Well, he paid her $5 million. Then he found he had done it, and then he had to pay her again for defaming her in a different way.
Okay. Why? Who was? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he the only president who's ever ran for free?
I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
He didn't take any money.
Well,
as far as a salary,
he took. Okay, so most people that run take a salary out of their campaign because they can't afford to run without having a job. So most people do that. But I don't know as far as but I don't know what that matters.
Well, I'm saying it matters a lot that someone is doing something for free because they love their country. I'm not like a pro-Trump supporter, but
I mean, because here's the thing: if Joe Biden ends up to be found to have essayed someone in court, this wouldn't even be a conversation. He should be removed from the race. I wouldn't even be considering voting for him. Like out of principle, right. I can't. He has to go, right? And the Democratic, that would be the overwhelming take of the Democratic Party. You have to resign. You have to go. But for some reason, for Donald Trump, that's not. It's like Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez is being investigated for corruption. He needs to go, right? Nobody's calling for him to stay around. You're very clearly morally bankrupt. You got to go, and they would be calling for that. Why is that not the case for Donald Trump?
Who's your go-to right now?
I don't have a go-to. I mean, for the election, it's Joe Biden, but I don't have like a go-to. I don't trust any politician that much.
I can agree with you on that 1,000%. I could not. These last 4 years though, with Joe Biden, they've been pretty rough, man.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we knew they were going to be. We knew they were going to be. It wasn't a surprise to me. We knew. No, it was a surprise to many people.
I didn't think anyone thought that going out of COVID would have been easy and reopening up the economy.
Nope.
Looking back on it, like with keeping an open mind though, looking back on it, do you think that Trump could have handled things better? I mean, the war in Russia and Ukraine. I mean,
no. If the war didn't happen under Trump's presidency, it would have happened later when NATO was in a worse condition. And if it did happen under Trump's presidency, he just would have not funded them and they would have collapsed. It would have been one of the worst geopolitical disasters I could think of, because Russia would have done God knows what to the people as they got there, because they already did.
And why can't he wield some of that power now? If the war wouldn't have ever started, or at least on the contrary, if it would end so quickly if he's reelected, why can't he use some of his power as a former president to talk Putin out of this?
Because he's not.
Why doesn't he get elected?
He's not the
why
one
doesn't
in
he
charge.
do it now? He boasts his great relationship with it. Why doesn't he say, "Hey, I'm going to be in a few more months. Can you do me a solid and stop it now?"
Right. Well, why doesn't he come to an agreement? I mean, he could come to an agreement with Biden and be like, let's just go out there and then this will be our policy decision. So no matter who he picks, this is the policy he's getting. And he'll have to come to terms with that. But he's not doing that. Maybe he could do something like that. Donald Trump's only for himself.
I'm not in politics. I don't work in the field. I don't know how that works.
But I'm just saying, like, why he hasn't even attempted. The only thing he's done is praise Putin.
Right.
You know?
And this isn't unheard of for former presidents to get involved in geopolitical issues.
Is he praising Putin because
yes.
he wants
he called him smart?
Well, no. I'm saying, is he praising Putin because he wants to, be more civil because he thinks he's going to win the election coming up?
What did he say the other day about
if he does win the election, then that could resolve a lot of tension that's going on because
would it? Because Donald Trump has stated that he is not unless countries pay more, they should be on their own. Like, he doesn't even want to defend the East NATO countries.
He wanted the NATO country. He wanted them to pay their dues on what they were supposed to do. It's like a person. That's like a person paying rent. Your rent's due. You're supposed to pay it.
No, that's not how.
NATO works. What else do you expect?
NATO doesn't work like that, though. NATO works as a military defense pact where there is a voluntary 2% GDP on your military, but it's not. You don't need to have it.
So I'm confused. So
a country's of their GDP.
It's not due. I'm confused.
It's 2% of their. So the requirement for NATO is a voluntary 2% of your nation's GDP to be spent on military. You do not have to, but for instance, Canada makes a really good argument. They don't spend 2% on their military, but their argument is it's our soldiers fighting on the ground. So how is it fair that we're giving up lives and Chechnya over there has to give up 2% of their money? Like, that's not equal political pressure on either of us. So it doesn't make sense that Canada is going to put together hundreds of thousands of soldiers for their forces and spend all this money, and they're risking lives, and Sweden is risking, just their defense contractors' money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So you don't have to spend 2%. The problem is the United States spends so much money that Donald Trump thinks, well, we're spending so much money because they're not spending. But the reality is we wouldn't even cut it. We wouldn't even cut if they did spend 2%. Donald Trump increased it as he was complaining about how much they don't spend.
Okay. I mean, I could see the argument in that.
Be interesting. Just to be honest, there's no real good redeeming qualities about Donald Trump. There's none. The guy wants to bang his daughter. He has 30 essay allegations. The list goes on. He keeps a book of funny letters on his. That's what he said.
Okay.
What redeeming qualities does Donald Trump have?
He said he wanted to bang his daughter.
Narcissistic.
Multiple times.
Yeah, in fact, John Kelly, this is true. John Kelly, who, one of the generals stated, I
feel like I need to see this. I need to hear kind of documentation on it.
Okay, I will.
No
I will in a second. There's multiple videos on this. But John Kelly said, the guy's evil. I had to remind him that it was his daughter because of what he was saying about her. That's, So you have a guy you have a guy that shamed veterans on numerous different occasions. The guy doesn't have any redeeming qualities, man. He's just not a good dude. Just objectively, policy aside, he is a despicable human being on every level. I don't even know if there was, I didn't even Hillary's personality was so unlikable. I had a hard time voting for her, but she didn't have these completely disturbing redeeming qualities that Donald Trump has. I can't think of anybody I can't think of very many people that have as bad the guy's committed persistent fraud. He was found liable of SA. He has 30 SA allegations. He's been quoting Funny Mustache Man. He has books of Funny Mustache Man's speeches. He literally criticized a veteran that showed up that was in a wheelchair as disgusting. He didn't want to see that. That's gross. That's what he was telling Mark Milley. He said losers and suckers. That was confirmed by Mark Milley and John Kelly. He talked about McCain in public. There's no good redeeming qualities about this guy. He's just not a good dude.
Can I play this clip here?
Yeah.
All right.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Gross.
He said to a reporter, quote, "Is it wrong that I'm more attracted to my daughter than I am my wife?" She was 13. So
context would make that okay.
Well,
I know. I think that
the question.
He was joking. Who jokes like that?
No, I didn't. No, hold up. I didn't say he
No,
was
in the
joking.
I
comments.
know. I'm looking at
in
the comments.
Oh.
Of course,
I mean,
they
you're
run
just-
defense for that.
J-
If Joe Biden said that to
I-
Ashley,
I think the question was asked what do you enjoy? And
no,
I think
no. The
I think a
question
lot-
He also
was, what
said-
do you have in common?
Here, I pull it up.
I
I'll
just
pull up
played
another
it for
one.
you.
right.
Comment.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I heard that.
With your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Well, I mean misinterpreted. That's one of those clips that could be misinterpreted. I know you guys like to comment
Wait, hold on.
on
Let me play-
clips being like shortened and misinterpreted. That's
Let
one
me
of those
play this.
that could
Let me
be.
play this. Let me play this through.
Afraid to ask this question, but what would you do? Playboy put Ivanka on the cover of the magazine, and she had not.
This is going to be an interesting answer.
He doesn't even want you to have a drink. I know it. So
It would be really disappointing. Not really, but it would depend on what was inside the magazine.
if she posed, it would be fine. But if they
I just caught how gross that was. It would be disappointing. Not really. I just.
put her picture
Yeah, but
on.
it depends on what goes inside the magazine.
Well, see, that's
Inside
her
the
gripe.
magazine.
That's
right.
this girl's gripe.
And there
People
was nothing.
assume there'll be nude photos.
Right, you do assume that with
Misleading.
Playboy.
Okay,
But if there weren't, you wouldn't have an issue with it then. If they were using her to...
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka were my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Oh, it's so weird.
Man, there's some rude people in the chat. My dad was actually he was a E7 in Vietnam, and he was active for 4 years, and I just had to bury him 2 years. It was 2 years ago. He was eaten up with Agent Orange pretty bad, and so I've kind of have you guys had a parent that's like passed away, and there's some things that's happened in life, and you like never agreed with them on, and then all of a sudden, like after they're like gone, you're like, oh, they were actually right about society after looking at everything.
No.
Both of my parents are alive, and I can tell you for 100% certain that my dad is not right about much. So no, I can't. Sorry.
Oh no. Okay. Well,
Anyway, sorry.
I mean,
what was your point? I'm sorry you had to
point
do that.
is-
I'm not. Yeah.
No. I appreciate that, Tommy. No. Point is, I have a very open mind about where the country can go and what it's going through right now. I'm not necessarily for one side or another, but I do have a lot of questions on both sides, and I agree with some of y'all's points, and there's some things that I disagree on, and there's no way that I could ever put Biden above Trump if it came down to it. I can't.
For what reason?
I mean, Biden has his skeletons in his closet as well.
Like?
Okay.
I mean, with his son. I mean, he essentially
That's not
was
Joe Biden, though.
He was essentially Joe Biden was essentially the more racist one.
What?
I mean, I'm sure. No, don't act surprised. You could pull up clips.
I mean,
and-
what does
and
that have to
find
do with
that.
Hunter Biden? Yeah, he said racist. Now, what is his administration looking like? What,
It's-
45% black, 50%
Well,
women?
yeah. Well, because if you don't vote Democrat, you're not black. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
Donald Trump is
I'm
saying Jewish people who vote Democrat hate their religion and hate Israel.
you're proving to my point on both sides are not. They
But
both
like,
say
if that's your
things-
standard, it should be worse when Donald Trump does it. Also, we're looking at that Joe Biden said years ago and promptly apologized for. Donald Trump recently, last month, said that black people are going to vote for him because he's been indicted.
Do people really change though?
Yes. Has Donald? No. It's weird that after decades, he's still defending the Central Park 5 thing.
I mean, I think people can change to a certain degree, but whenever it's to like this magnitude, no. I think Joe Biden is a puppet in the office. That's the reason why, Democrats or, like the Democratic board is like pushing for him, is because they know they can kind of get away with whatever they want.
I don't know what that means.
I mean, come
Frankly,
on,
I would
man.
say that they're not getting a lot of the things that they want with Joe. We haven't gotten universal health care. We haven't gotten a 4-day work week. We haven't raised the minimum wage. Who's he a puppet of? He's got what, 51 in the Senate right now?
What do you
With Joe
mean by
Manchin and
universal?
Sinema. He's not getting a whole lot of support from them.
What do you mean by universal health care? Do you mean like Obamacare? Where if you
No,
didn't
that's
have
not
health
universal health care, as in Medicare for all.
is that like an Obamacare situation? To where
No,
if
it
you
is
don't,
single payer health care. Anyways, Trump wants to bang his daughter.
I mean that's a clip. You know, I mean
Of many.
there's thousands of clips of Joe Biden.
He says it over and over and over again, man. And not just that, his policies. Like Donald Trump doesn't have a coherent policy for anything.
And the people in the chat saying that I was okay with that. No, I'm not okay with that. I mean, I have a daughter myself.
Right,
No,
but that's
it's
not the
cool.
line for you is the point. That him doing that, him saying those things, him having over 30 plus essay allegations and having been found liable of essay and the grabbing by the you-know-what comments, that's not your bar. But for whatever reason, Joe Biden, with everything, with whatever it may be, is somehow worse than that.
None of that ever came to fruition until Trump was running for president.
That's not true.
Donald Trump. I mean, dude, the guy defrauded a children's cancer charity fund. Like, does that not raise some red flags for you? This is in court.
He was sued twice by the
He
Justice
lost in
Department.
court. Like,
He ran the birther lie for years.
You got. I'm not. Okay.
And the grab him by the you-know-what comment was in 2005.
It didn't become a big deal until he ran for presidency.
Doesn't matter what year it happens. It's wrong.
well, listen.
Okay,
maybe
so
when you
Joe
put a self like that-
Joe Biden's acts doesn't matter because it was in the past.
They do matter. And how he responds to that matters even more. But Donald Trump's attempt to deflect and put the blame on Bill Clinton, oddly enough, at that debate, was horrific and disgusting.
I don't know Joe Biden's apology towards what he.
Joe
what he
immediately
said.
replied, okay, you guys don't watch the full clips, but the "you ain't black" comment, he was pushed back by Charlemagne the God and immediately apologized for that. Has Donald Trump ever apologized for anything?
I can't think of anything. Honestly, I think about that all the time.
I really
he doesn't
can't.
laugh or smile nearly enough. He doesn't really have a personality. He's not a guy I would want to grab a drink with because I feel like he would fuck me out of the tip or the waiter by stealing it. I kind of feel like that's kind of what I get the vibe I get. I'm gonna be like, I know I don't know if I could sit down with all the presidents and have like good conversations, but I know for sure I would not have a good conversation with Donald Trump.
And like, I see people in the comments talking about this. We've all had like a friend that says something that's like accidentally racist or ableist or something like that. We all know that person. And then we say, hey, bro, that's not cool. And they apologize. Donald Trump is the friend that keeps saying it and thinks it's funny and goes on and doubles down. He keeps repeating the Schmittler quotes, even when he's called out on it. He doesn't
Right, he
care.
keeps doing
This
the
is
same
who he is.
conduct. So you know that like part of the allegations in the court documents against him is that he weaponized his platform to try and scare people. It's one of the reasons that Rudy Giuliani lost that. He continues to do it. People have been put in danger. There's been booms with the guy had all the stickers on the side of the CNN dude. And we see it over and over again. The guy that parked his car up on the lawn, the guy that went into the FBI building and tried to unalive a bunch of like that stuff, right? And we see him hear about this. I know this because it's written in books and in thousands of articles of Donald Trump saying things and this bad thing happening because this follower of his went and did it. And at no point has he ever stopped. He just he's doing it right now against the judges and the prosecutors and even his own attorneys that turn against him. So like the guy has never under any circumstance taken accountability. And I know everybody was trying to cancel me for my belief the other day, or for my thing the other day. But the reality is like there is a significant difference between someone that knows what they're doing is bad, right? And someone that's willing to learn from it. Joe Biden, willing to learn, willing to listen. Donald Trump, not at all. And that's the difference, right? When we're talking about like Christian Picciolini, who's a former white supremacist, he goes out and he's converted hundreds of people, right? You can I don't trust him to 100. I would have a very difficult time trusting him 100%, but he's taken a lot of steps to try and recorrect his life, right? It'd be very difficult because like, okay, you're past. But when we get into this, it's like Donald Trump's not learning from this. Anybody you point to like Joe Biden is.
I'll just summarize.
I wasn't trying to cut you off.
You're good.
I wanted to say something, but
yeah. I think a key characteristic of leadership is seeing how you respond to the people around you, even those who disagree, and willing to find common ground and empathy and even change past behaviors and the way you've approached things. Donald Trump demands loyalty to him and him only. He doesn't listen to opposition. He doesn't
Got it.
hear dissent or criticism. If anything, he shuts it down.
So, okay, all right. So how do you guys feel about Elon Musk?
What?
What does Elon Musk have to do with this?
I mean, he's obviously very Republican style, and he, bought Twitter. He's, making a platform known because, unfortunately, the way that the media is set up is that it's owned by, what was it, 5 different companies, and it's banked by two different corporations. So it's all controlled.
I don't know. I don't care about Elon Musk, frankly.
Well, I'm just talking about I'm talking about the way that the public is being informed of things.
Public shouldn't be getting its news from Twitter.
Yeah,
No. I didn't get the news from Twitter. It's a fact. It's only banked, like there's like 5 different corporations, and it's banked by 2 different people. I can't think of the names of them right now. I mean, I'm sure y'all could probably look it up. But
I don't know. What does this have to do with anything?
Everyone is being informed of the same thing to make everyone think the same thing. And to me, that's not okay. Whether you're Democratic or you're Republican or whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Like, you should still have the free will to think and believe whatever you want to believe.
That's why there's a left and right.
Exactly.
Really quick, Jaden, how much longer do you want to be live?
I don't really care.
Oh, well, I was thinking like, if Jaden wants to stay live, I should have just done my teeth whitening thing while we were waiting here, but that's good news.
No, you can do that.
It's going to be 30 minutes. I can't sign off for 30 minutes, so you're going to have to be here for like 40.
That's fine.
You sure?
Sure, whatever. I'm a trooper.
All right, I'll be right
And we'll
back.
cash up in the bio.
Yeah. Send your some support. I don't know.
Yeah.
BRB.
So, no response on that.
On what exactly? I mean, it was a huge pivot from the previous point, so I don't really know how to get in the mindset of what you're talking about.
No, the mindset is the media is controlled with what we're believing right now.
Yeah, there's big money interests on both sides.
Exactly, and it's banked by 2 different big corporations.
It's not just 2.
Or is it 3? I think it's 2 or 3.
There's multiple organizations that go into it.
No, there's like 5 different organizations, and it's banked by 2 or 3 different companies. I think it's 2. I think it's 2. But either way, it's a major influence on the way that people think and view with what our country's going through right now. That's a problem.
Yeah, we should bring back a modern day fairness doctrine.
Yes, I agree with that. And also, I agree with platforms, to go back to Elon Musk. Elon Musk is trying to make a platform that's like free and not censored.
He's doing a pretty bad job at it. Why'd he cancel Don Lemon's show then? Yeah.
How was that show? Was it free? It
was free. He was doing an interview with them and pulled it just before it aired. A number of journalists have been permanently banned. Some of them reinstated, but a number of them have gone. He funnily enough, there was something that he posted about migrants, and he got a community, one of those community guideline fact-checking things underneath it, and he had it removed half an hour later. So I think when it comes to the point that when it comes to the argument that he's free speech, I think to an extent that he's free speech for himself, for the right, which he predominantly amplifies on his platform. The fact that the N-word rose 500% in the first week of his acquisition tells me something. Tells me something about the intent and the way he's going to content moderate on that service. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't want to take up you guys' time. If y'all want to get someone else in on the hot box. Again, I'm just a person that likes to keep an open mind. I know there's some ugly chats in here that's saying, oh, don't trust this guy. But, at the end of the day, I try to keep an open mind because I have friends. I mean, my wife's a professional dancer, and so she has a lot of gay friends. I have a lot of gay friends because of her. I get it. I understand. Like I'm part of everything, but at the same token, like I don't want to be naive and I don't want to be brainwashed.
Okay.
So,
well, all I can recommend is do a lot of reading, check whatever sources you may come across. I don't think Twitter's the best news source you can go to. I'd recommend NPR, Associated Press.
No. I just brought that up as a point. I literally just joined Twitter probably a week ago, but it was the fact that apparently that's a thing. Elon Musk is trying to make a platform ready for anyone that wants to not have, I guess, in quotations, fake news.
I wouldn't say that he's the
Really
best
quick,
arbiter of what's fake.
I'm going to do this. It's 30 minutes. So,
All right.
Jaden, it's on you. All right.
All right, Joseph. Thanks for hopping in. We're going to move on, all right?
Absolutely. See you guys.
Great.
Have a good night.
Take care.